Hey, welcome back for another episode of Charlie Brown Politics. And of course, I'm Charlie Brown, the host of the show. Let's continue talking about Palestine and Israel. So recently, the U.S. has sent a flock of warships slash submarines that used to have the capabilities of holding nuclear weapons upon their vessels. Now, the U.S. is sending out this military muscle under the mindset of we're doing it to deter the rest of the major forces in the Middle East from um, getting into this conflict. So that's what we are saying. We're basically saying, yo, Iran, we've been working out for at least 2.5 days a week. Okay, we've been taking Taekwondo lessons for at least a month now. We're at the yellow belt. That's the belt above a white belt, motherfucker. And you do not want to mess with us. So that is what the U.S. is trying to say to Iran. You're going to be seeing this word posture. The U.S. is sending these ships out to send out a certain posture. And every time I hear this damn word posture, it just makes me think of a cat with an Archie back. So, with that being said, I have a video and an article that I want to go over, and it's going to go into more details on this specific subject.
Meanwhile, there is growing concern for U.S. troops in the Middle East after, at this point, dozens of attacks on American military installations in the region. Now, the Pentagon flexing its muscle with a message to Iran. Let's bring in correspondent Evan Lambert live in Washington. Evan, how is the U.S. responding?
Nicole, the most visible move in the last 24 hours is the Navy sending an Ohio-class nuclear-powered submarine to the Middle East. U.S. Central Command confirming it arrived Sunday in its area of responsibility. It is not clear exactly where the sub is, and military officials haven't revealed more details about its deployment. But we do know the U.S. fleet has 14 Ohio-class submarines that can launch ballistic missiles and 4 additional ones that carry Tomahawk cruise missiles. The arrival of the submarine and recent placement of the carrier groups Eisenhower and Ford, all very visual signals to Iran-backed groups in the region who've been retaliating against the U.S. for its support for Israel. The message that the U.S. will defend its troops. Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying as much in a surprise visit to Baghdad over the weekend, all in the face of nearly 30 attacks on U.S. and coalition bases, many in Iraq and Syria, since October 17th.
All right, so let me pause it real quick right there. So they're saying that counter forces in Iraq and Syria are now attacking the U.S. Bases, U.S. soldiers, and there's been 30 attacks that have happened since October 7th. But what they're so casually leaving out of this equation is why these counter forces would be attacking the U.S. people in these countries. And the answer would be that the U.S. is occupying Syria still to this day. And Trump, back in the day, told us why we are occupying Syria. He said, we are there, we are leaving our troops for the oil. We are leaving our troops for the oil in Syria. And so that question of why our troops are being attacked in Syria and Iraq, well, the answer might be is because we're occupying their countries. We have a crap ton of military bases in their countries. The U.S. has 800 military bases around the world. So these are questions that need to be brought up, need to be thought about. Do we really need to have all these military bases and our military continuously stealing oil from other countries? But let's continue.
As you know, there have been a series of attacks conducted by militia directed at our personnel, both in Iraq as well as in Syria. Job number one for me is to ensure the security of our people, and so I got an update on everything we're doing to make sure that our personnel are safe and secure. To anyone who might seek to take advantage of the conflict in Gaza to threaten our personnel here or anywhere else in the region, don't do it.
Don't you do it. Little Johnny, don't you smoke them cigarettes. Don't you smoke them cigarettes, little Johnny. You've ever heard about, like, don't tell kids not to do something because it makes them want to do something even more? So this we're claiming that this is all out of like deterrence to set up this posturing. But I'm not buying that shit for 1 second. To me, it seems more like they want them to attack one of these ships. They want them to escalate this, to make it a even bigger regional conflict where these major power sources have to come into play. The U.S., Iran, maybe even Russia and China. I think that's what these psychopaths at the top actually want. So that's all I wanted to watch from that video. Let's go into the article that I have that's going to go more into this specific topic that we are talking about. Now, this is going to be from Newsweek, and let's get into it. Rare admission about U.S. submarine sparks question about nuclear weapons. And this was in November 6, 2023. The deployment of a U.S. naval carrier to the Middle East has sparked further questions about America's role, as threats of larger regional conflict may stem from the intensifying war in Gaza. But one expert told Newsweek it may be more common than we think. Its deployment comes as fighting rages on between Israeli forces and the militant organization Hamas, following the deadly October 7th attack that killed at least 1,400 people in Israel. About 240 were also taken hostage, including Americans. The Palestinian death toll in Israel-Hamas war surpassed 10,000, including more than 4,100 children, 2,640 women, according to the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza, per the Associated Press. Man, that's just terrible. Already 10,000 people on Palestine's side has died from this conflict since October 7th. On Sunday, United States Central Command, known as CENTCOM, announced on X, formerly Twitter, that a nuclear weapon-equipped Ohio-class submarine deployed to the area surrounding Israel and Palestine, but provided no further details. CENTCOM is responsible for U.S. operations in the Middle East, Central Asia, and parts of South Asia. Newsweek reached out to CENTCOM for more information. The Ohio-class submarine consists of 14 ballistic missile submarines and 4 cruise missile submarines. SSGNs no longer function as nuclear ballistic missile loadouts, however, and were converted a long time ago to fire Tomahawk cruise missiles. So what that is basically saying that these nuclear-class submarines used to be equipped with nuclear weapons, but are no longer equipped with those, and now have these Tomahawk missiles. But worry none, people, because these submarines still have a crap ton of firepower. So don't you worry. Let's continue. One SSGN can consist of 154 Tomahawk cruise missiles, significantly more than the number carried by U.S. guided missile destroyers and attack submarines. Tomahawk missiles can carry up to 1,000-pound high-explosive warhead out approximately 1,500 miles. On November 4th, CENTCOM reported that the Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group had arrived in the Middle East as part of the increased regional posture. There's that word, that posture, that Archie Cat. The flagship aircraft carries a guided missile cruiser and guided missile destroyers. The public announcement of a nuclear submarine has been deemed as rare by some, though publishing informational facts about its location is not entirely unusual, according to Mark Kansian, a retired U.S. Marine Corps colonel and senior advisor for the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Kansian told Newsweek by phone that the U.S. Naval Institute publishes a daily map of carrier battle groups, which is unusual that it's getting so much attention from the government, he said. The White House and the Pentagon talk about it a lot. So let's pause for just 1 second right there. This retired colonel from the military says that it's not unusual that where we locate these warships is public information. What is unusual is the fact that it's getting so much attention. Now, we have to, question the fact that, is this really for deterrence? Is this for posture? because we are having a lot of major news outlets pay attention to the fact that we are putting in these huge warships. We have Antony Blinken come out and say, "Don't you do it. Don't you smoke those cigarettes, Johnny." And we all know if you tell Johnny not to smoke cigarettes as a little kid, it's going to make Johnny want to smoke a cigarette. So the suspicion on what's actually going on is high. Let's continue on. The CENTCOM social media posturing features a photo appearing to show a submarine treading water through the Suez Canal. Pentagon spokesperson Brigadier General Pat Ryder said during an October 24th press briefing that the U.S. intentions are for the conflict not to escalate into a wider regional affair. Since that Hamas terrorist attack, we've been crystal clear that we do not want to see the situation in Israel widen into a broader regional conflict, Ryder said last month. And as you've heard, President Joe Biden, Secretary Lloyd Austin, and other U.S. leaders say our message to any country or group thinking about trying to take advantage of this situation to widen the conflict is don't you do it. So there you have it, everybody. You got the U.S. media and the U.S. military trying to flex, trying to act like they don't want this war to escalate into a broader region. But I think these psychopaths at the top would love nothing more than to bring this war into more escalation, to get more countries involved into it. Why? Well, the answer is very simple. That's because the military-industrial complex makes a crap ton of money off this, and they don't care about people that have to fight these wars. They don't care about the lives that get affected. They don't care about the fact that these never-ending wars are draining everybody at home of all their fucking money, of these increasing gas prices, these increasing house prices, these increasing food prices. It all relates to the U.S. needing a never-ending war, okay? So I'm not buying it. I'm not buying any of this crap that we're there to deter a larger escalation of this war. That's exactly why we're sending in these major U.S. warships and telling people, don't you touch them. Don't you smoke that cigarette. And so, yeah, I'm not buying it for 1 second. So that's going to be what I have for today, guys. Let me know what you're thinking about this situation. You buying that we're there just to deter Iran and Russia from not doing anything? I'm not buying it. So with that being said, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will catch you on that next episode of Charlie Brown Politics. Later, guys.